my desk again. Tonight we are continuing the 100 book series. Yay. We are covering 3 books again. Sorry, my fingers don't want to make the number 3. 3 books again. And they are 38, 39, and 40. And if you watched the last one, you get a preview of what they're going to be. Let me bring some more light in, and then we'll jump in. Okay. Actually do a second one. Oh, that's pretty bright. I think we can manage with that. Okay. So, well, maybe I'll do a second one. See if we can just see if it ends up too bright or not. Too much? Is it too bright? I guess you'll have to let me know. It enhances the sparkle a bit. It definitely enhances the sparkle. All right. So our next books are another revisitation to Fear Street. This set of books was so much fun. It was so much fun. I'm just gonna say that from the beginning. I'm not sure how well, I haven't edited it yet. My last review of the Fear Street books was books 35, 6, and 7. Those books were very different, and I had a lot of different kind of feelings about them. And to do them all in one video was kind of a lot. But these are a trilogy. The story flows straight from book 1 to book 2 to book 3. Now, there is a complete story in each one, but to get the complete story of Fear Street, you need to read all 3. And if you are interested in Fear Street, the series or the Return to Fear Street or any of the kind of mini Fear Street series that R.L. Stine did, if you read them as a kid but you never read these and so you don't know the origin story of Fear Street, definitely recommend. I flew through these, and I mean, they're small books, but they're really, really just so much fun. And I mean, it's not fantastic storytelling in kind of this grandiose way, but you know, everything doesn't have to be super complex. I think, God, last time I got on my soapbox about revisionist book writing and or publications, and now I'm going to get on it about the pretentiousness of book readers. But man, read things that you enjoy. Can I just say that? Do not let other people's prejudices or opinions about what is appropriate reading to stop you from reading. If you like romance stories, read romance stories. If you like horror stories, read horror stories. if you like adventure, if you like sci-fi, whatever it is that makes reading a joyful experience for you, do that. Okay, I'm just gonna step down off my soapbox again. I just don't want anyone to ever feel judged or shy away from reading because the things that they're interested in, they think people might not think are interesting. Enjoying what you enjoy and not letting others ruin your fun. And for me, these books were fun. I think it's a good story. I think I was just shaking my head reading them so many times, like, how is this happening again? How are these people doing this? Why? So many times I said, why? And it was frustrating and infuriating and just absurd, so absurd, but still fun, you know? I was there, I was keeping pace with the books. They drew me in and through them, and it was a great fun ride. And there are a couple more that I know now that the Fear Street saga technically continues with a few more books, like a few more generations of characters, because that's how these books go. We start with one generation and move to the next generation and then the next generation. And I would be interested to read those if I can pick them up, maybe secondhand somewhere, which I will talk about getting your hands on these in this review as well. But first, now that I've ranted on for 12 minutes, thereabouts, let me tell you, I'll read you the backs to give you kind of a general sense of the story. So, book 1 is The Betrayal. The secret is out. Why do so many horrifying things happen on Fear Street? Nora knows. She knows how the terror began. She knows about the young girl who burned at the stake and the bloody feud between two families that caused the unspeakable horror that has lasted 300 years. She knows, and she wants to tell. Are you sure you want to hear it? That's book 1. Book 2, The Secret. Buried evil. What is the secret of Fear Street? Why has its horror lasted so long? Ezra Fear wants to find out. He searches for the answer among the rotting bones in the ghostly town of Wickham. But he finds only betrayal and death. Elizabeth and Kate are in love with the same boy. How can they know that they too are caught by the evil that will haunt this family forever? That's book 2, The Secret. Its synopsis is a little strange because it's kind of split into 2 sections, and out of context it seems kind of weird, but book 3, the final of the trilogy, is The Burning. The end and the beginning. Simon Fear thought changing his name would stop the evil. He was wrong, dead wrong. After generations of unspeakable horror, it is up to Daniel and Nora, brought together by their fateful love, to unite the feuding families. But is their forbidden love strong enough to withstand such awesome evil? Poor Nora, desperate to tell the truth and bury the family curse before it buries her. So, that is book 3, The Burning. The titles and the descriptions, I gotta say, are not where it's at in these books. Not at all. I don't think that aesthetically either they're especially gripping. My lighting here is kind of throwing off the color scheme. I don't know if that's going to help. They have this kind of classic retro. These are the original covers, by the way. These are reprints, but the original covers. This one is actually an original run book, and then these two are reprints of the original covers. So it's not overly, it's not great, you know? There is something kind of outdated in not a great way about these covers. Sometimes you see old covers and their kind of period aesthetic is still attractive, but I don't know about these. What do you think? If you saw them, would the covers draw you in enough to then read the backs? Which I'm gonna say are also not great. If I had just randomly saw these, this one, the first one, where it kind of tantalizes you with the idea of knowing the origins of Fear Street, isn't bad. I think the synopsis on book 2 is just, it could be better. And then book 3, unless you know, I mean, you know, because there's a number on the front of the book, but it seems out of place. So knowing that they're a trilogy and that they all go together, and having the idea of the story already in my mind, I didn't have to think about any of that when I was buying them. I just knew what they were about, and I knew that I wanted to read them, so I got them. So kind of that overpowered the aesthetics of the books for me, so I didn't have to be drawn in by them. But if you are just seeing them for the first time, let me know what you think. Do these need a rebranding? There is technically a rebranding. These books do all come in one book now. It is, I think it's titled, it might be titled The Betrayal, but it's one of those thick collections, like the very first Fear Street review that I did, that was Fear Street the beginning. They're doing that now. They also have one with the cheerleader series, which is another kind of sub Fear Street series. That's a series of books that they've lumped into one thick book now. And I'm not really a fan of the aesthetics of either of those. So I'm not really sure what they were going for with that, because the one for these is so different than the other two. The second one, about the cheerleader books, has very similar aesthetic to the new rebrand of the original line of Fear Street books, but the Fear Street Saga compilation has a totally different aesthetic, and it's not a good one, like the Fear Street the beginning aesthetic. It's like weird. I'll insert a picture of it here so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll put them all next to each other so you can see what I'm talking about. But that's enough about the aesthetics. we'll drop that, and I'll switch gears slightly to where you can get these. So you can get these secondhand on like eBay or Facebook Marketplace maybe. You can also get them on Amazon, and that's what I want to talk about because that is where I ordered them from. So when you order these from Amazon, at least Amazon Canada, you will have to purchase them separately or as the compilation, and this is what you will get. You will get this book and this book, and then you will get this book, which at first glance looks okay, but if I hold it up next to the other ones, you will see the issue. So I don't know exactly what went wrong here. So this is a different publisher. It is Archway paperbacks, and these are Simon Pulse. Now, this one is also Archway Publications. It's original publication run that I got secondhand off of eBay because I was planning to keep these books, and I could not have them sitting like this on my bookshelf. Aesthetically, it drove me crazy. Guys, I mean, you might be someone that wouldn't bother at all, but for me, it was so frustrating. And technically in the Amazon listing, because I did go back and check, it does list the dimensions of this book and the dimensions of these two, and they are different. They are accurate to the products that you receive. But why do they sell them from two different publication lines in two different sizes when they know they're a set of books? And this is the second one, so it goes right in the middle and it's giant. Oh, God. It bothered me to an absurd amount that I had to go and find the book that matched the other two that I had. And I could have returned this to Amazon, but I didn't because I wanted to read them all. And I was reading them like every day. Like I read them in 3 days, one a day. And I didn't want to send this back and then have to wait to get another copy of it from somewhere else to wait to finish reading them. So I read it. And then I also found that there were some like publication defects in this specific edition of the book. Somewhere in the middle there's some kind of something that went wrong with the printing, and so some of the pages are cut, like the words are cut off, and it's not so much that you can't read it, it's just like letters. You can figure out what it says, but it's just kind of another frustrating thing of that experience that I was like, oh, I should have just returned it, but I didn't. Anyways, so if you decide to pick up the individual original cover copies of the books off of Amazon, know that the second one is going to be about 1/3 larger size-wise in every way imaginable, length with page dimension. Oh look, there you can see the words cut off. Should be dirt. and this should be Abigail, and this should be drying. So you can see what I mean there. So just, I don't know if that's just unique to this specific book. Now, let's talk about the books themselves, the content of them. It was really interesting. I wasn't expecting it to be as supernatural, kind of as it was, but also as practically human as it was. I think they are a great demonstration of just how people can muck things up for themselves, you know. The idea of the curse is sometimes more of a curse than the actual curse itself. And it speaks to the power of belief and kind of what you believe really matters. It really affects how you go into things, your attitude, you know, your behavior. If you are anticipating negativity, then you bring about negativity, you know. What you put out into the world, it comes back at you. So these are a really fun story, lots of characters, generations of the family, and how they interact with the curse and the knowledge, and when knowledge is lost, how you kind of, they fill in the gaps of their knowledge with their ideas of what those gaps should be, and instead of really trying to find out what is missing, they just kind of fit in whatever fits the narrative they want to believe. It's a good story. I really enjoyed it, and if you're interested in Fear Street, then I think you'll really enjoy it too. That is what I would say. It really puts in context the setting and kind of the evil presence that lurks in the Fear Street realm for all of the different series that exist in that world that R.L. Stine has built. It also is speculated, but now having read them, I can definitely say that it definitely appears as so, that these books were part of the source material that they used to write the movie scripts. The other one they've said they've pulled from that I've read is the Cheerleader series, which I haven't read yet, but I probably will now because I'm kind of deep in this whole and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, so I don't know how much of what is in those books that kind of helped shape the storyline of the movies, but there's definitely elements of this story that kind of relate to and inform the movies, even though they're completely different. The movies are completely new content and are not a direct reflection of anything that exists in the Fear Street novels that have been published. They take place in that world, but they are not a reflection of any one book or series of books. Hopefully that doesn't sound too confusing. I have some water because my voice is getting a little bit hoarse. So we've got supernatural, we've got romance, we've got drama, and death. aren't those all the things that make a good story? Supernatural, romance, drama, and death. I don't want to speak about them too much because they're so short that you would give away what the stories are about. But I think I've said enough, hopefully, to tell you whether or not you would want to read these, or to help you decide, not to tell you, if these are something you'd want to read. You can almost definitely, I would say, get them from your library. They have to be a staple, I would think. So if you aren't of the mind to purchase something like this, but you still want to check it out, definitely check out your local library for any of the books that I ever recommend, or ones that I don't recommend. But libraries are such a valuable resource, I think. You know, I buy a lot of books nowadays because I want to have them for my personal bookshelf, but I used to live in my library growing up, like my public library. It was, I mean, it's great. It's free, and you can get almost anything there that you'd want. So definitely, if you ever see any of the books that I'm reviewing and you think you want to read them, but you don't want to invest money in them, check out your library, because just check out your library anyway. Libraries deserve so much support and props for the service that they provide communities, not just as spaces for learning and reading, but just as a place for the community to exist in a way that's non-transactional. You know, there we go, soapbox again. This whole Fear Street series is just about soapboxes, I guess. Anyways, guys, that's been this one. The Fear Street Saga original trilogy, the origin story of Fear Street, where it all started. Check it out. That's my recommendation for this one. And if it's not something that interests you, then, move on to the next one, because that's coming too. And I think I might have forgotten it upstairs, so I'm going to go grab it, and I'll bring it back down to preview it for you. Okay, I've got it. I am back, and it's right here. Okay, so the next book, which would be 41, we made a lot of progress at the beginning of the year here, and I think it's going to taper off sharply coming soon. But this is book 41. Our Last Echoes by Kate Alice Marshall. And this, well, you'll have to check out the review for this one, which is coming out next. I've already finished it, so watch for that one, book 41. That's it. That's all for tonight, guys. Thank you for joining me, returning to Fear Street once again. You never know, a few more might pop up later in the year. We'll see. I got a lot to go through. If you saw my book hauls, then I've got a lot of books on my shelf waiting to be read before I pick up any more. These were an impromptu purchase, and kind of got interjected into the middle of reading the ones that I bought for Boxing Week. But I'm going to try and work through all the ones I have before I get any more. Although I'm not making any promises. Books are my weakness. Okay, that's all. And thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.